Hey, Becky.
Hello, my dear co-host. How are you?
I'm good. How is
Awesome.
everyone out there today?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to not only our YouTube friends, but we are streaming to Twitch and Rumble tonight too. So exciting. Welcome. Why don't we first, since we are broadcasting to a couple new platforms, introduce ourselves?
Absolutely. So I am Sherry. I go by Keto Step, and we'll get into that a little more detail in a little bit. But that's where you can find me on Instagram. And I am the co-host of Healing the Whole Body podcast. And again, welcome.
Yes. Alrighty. So how long have you been in the keto or in the space of wellness?
It'll be 2 years in October that I took my health journey. Had a couple serious things that happened to me in my life. One was uh, I had months earlier had been hospitalized with very potential life-threatening thing, and thought I was going to get healthy that summer. It happened in May. And I'm a type 2 diabetic, or I was back then. And the health problem that I had, they kept blaming my diabetes. It was not the cause, but the hospital kept blaming that. So I looked up the good old American Diabetes Association and followed their guidelines that summer. And from May to September, my blood sugar got worse. So that was another wake up call that scared me to death. And then, speaking of death, my best friend of 30 years passed away. And she was a very large lady. She was about 450 pounds. And she died. And that was another wake up call. And at that point, I started Googling, Dr. Google, right? Um, Keto. And kind of opened up a whole world. So I've done variations of keto. I've done carnivore. I've done fat fasting. I've done a higher fat ratio of higher fat and adequate protein. Um, and it's been quite a journey. I am currently off all of my meds for my type 2 diabetes. Thank you. And so that's kind of what brought me here. And just so you guys know, Becky and I um, started talking months and months ago. And we both wanted to do podcasts. We wanted to talk about how our journeys and journeys that our clients take, because we're both coaches, um, how it's more than just the nutrition that goes into our mouths, right? So there's a whole host of other things that I've had to incorporate in order to heal my body. So that's kind of the it in a nutshell in about 3 minutes or less. So Becky, what brought you here? What's your background?
So I have done a lot of the traditional. I know you have too. In regards to initially to weight loss. And then I ended up and I had a hysterectomy when I was 29. So um that kind of started a whole, in my opinion, another spiral of a lot of health conditions, anywhere from the hormonal, because the HRT ended up making me sick, to thyroid issues. I ended up with Hashimoto's, autoimmune thyroiditis. um was on levothyroxine. I was on, all in all, with all my conditions, with the hormones, like I said, HRT made me sick. The thyroid, the prediabetes, cardiac issues, asthma, emotional health. I was on SSRIs. I was on inhalers. I mean, it was just 7 different medications, pharmaceutical medications. I knew that was the realm or road that I didn't want to go down. So I became very proactive of taking back my own health. And for those of you that are joining us on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe and get notified when we go live, but also welcome to Twitch and Rumble. So that started me down a path, and I got really diligent about it about 6 years ago. And then I kind of fell off the keto wagon a little bit into like processed keto, right? It's a keto on the label. I was good to go. No. Learn to read labels, learn to actually do, it the right way. I've done several different ways throughout, the last several years, from keto to carnivore to, where I typically sit is the high fat version. So I feel best with the fat in there. Fat for me is healing with adequate amount of protein. So that is, I got the energy, I've got the mental clarity, I've, released some of the weight. Obviously, you can see we're both sitting in red light and wearing blue blockers. That is when I became very passionate about my 6 intuitive areas, from the grounding to the circadian health. I got certified in circadian health. And how light plays a role in our hormones. And we'll actually have a masterclass coming in November in regards to circadian rhythm, but really looking at realigning that circadian rhythm and successfully being able to balance hormones naturally on sleep and, all the intuitive ancestral aspects. Of course, I have used also, you can see them behind me, essential oils for about 9 years now. So being able to take it beyond just the nutrition, which is where our community that we, and the name, if you are kind of wondering where, especially on Rumble and Twitch, they are BMC Community. So in case you're wondering what that is the Beyond Nutrition Coaching Community. So there's 6 of us all together that are in the BMC community, and we do everything beyond nutrition. So it is anywhere from mental health and addiction to breath work, brain body health. We just got off the general wellness meeting. We have a nutrition meeting. I mean, we have about every meeting. We have 10 of them a week in regards to our health and our wellness, and creating that space for people to feel comfortable and connected with people.
We put the link, both of us actually, so there's 2 links in the chat. If you're curious as to what the BMC community is, you can go click the link and read about it. Like Becky said, we go beyond the nutrition. It has taken both of us more than just the food. And like Becky said, we're both wearing, these blue blocking glasses. We're sitting under red lights. We both go out in the morning and we get the sunrise light in our eyes. There's no sunglasses we're wearing. We, get that light on our skin, no sunscreen. We ground, we walk, and you can follow us again on Instagram. You will see us post that almost daily. You'll see us post that we're doing that, and we do a whole host of other things. Yeah, I mean, not only by finding things other than, right, the nutrition and adding in all the rest, I also have more mental clarity. My anxiety has come way down. I don't even have depression anymore. So it's been a blessing for sure. And it's been interesting. And I also have found I do better with the high fat, adequate protein as well. My type 2 diabetes, my blood sugar responds beautifully to it. And I'm healing little bits at a time. It's a journey. I have a long journey to go. And that's where we're on here. We're real about what it's taking for us to be where we're at, what we do. We have guests on, everyday people. You can go back and watch some of our past podcasts that we've done. We've had every single one of our coaches on. So you can hear their stories as well. So we have a wide variety of coaches and something for everyone. And anything you want to add to that, Becky?
No, I'm just very thankful for the community that we've brought together because we each bring a very unique piece. We're not obviously dogmatic in any area. We treat everyone as the individual they are. So whether it's female, male, we do have 2 male coaches as part of the team. Dave and Kevin are both really great. And then 4 of us ladies that end up and coach and are meeting hosts over to help people to optimize their lighting routine, to optimize their sleep, to optimize really their overall wellness, and full body, right? We're not just worried about necessarily the food that goes in our mouth. Granted, we can't have a perfect environment and bad food. It all has to work together and be put in there. The whole puzzle has to end up and come together, and that's where we help them to optimize what's going on. And once you started to look at kind of what it took beyond just the nutrition, I mean, coming off your diabetes medication, but you've also had other success too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm literally shrinking, right? Um, and the scale doesn't reflect it. And I, for one, think everyone should throw their scales out. I mean, uh, because I'm lifting heavy weights. I mean, really heavy weights. So if you just went off of what my scale is reading, doesn't match what size I'm wearing. And so I've had that success, literally shrinking, because we all know that muscle takes up less mass than the fat, right? So if you've got a pound of muscle and a pound of fat, the fat is going to take up way more density than that muscle. So I'm definitely seeing that. That's been huge, because I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't get anything to happen for about, gosh, 10 months easily. Um, and I also struggled with water fasts, right? And that was a whole thing of I said to Becky, I said, I think I'm on the only human in this world that gained weight on 100-hour water fast, and the blood sugars got worse. And she was like, no, 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 no. It happens to way more people. And so that's when I took a deep dive into fat fasting. And in the BNC community, we just had a master class on that. So we learned all about fat fasting. In fact, we kind of touched on it last week, but since we have 2 new platforms, um, you want to talk about the Dr. Fung article that we both read?
Yeah, so Dr. Fung ended up and had a article out in regards to excess protein, and it was very insightful of an article in regards to the amount of protein. And I do feel I agree with him in regards to the point of depending where a person is at in their journey and being able to pull that down or pull it back into adequate amounts. It's just a lot of people, do the higher protein and they don't see the results, or they don't see kind of what they're looking for. They don't have, mental clarity, energy. And so being able to make sure that you're getting adequate amounts really ultimately ends up helping the individual to stick with and continue their journey.
I think the thing that struck me the most out of the article that Dr. Fung wrote was they have a whole program, and the people that had 100 pounds or more to lose, he's not ever sent one of them to a surgeon to have skin removal. And reading that, it was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And that is where he was talking about the fact that, our connective tissue, our skin, everything else is essentially amino acids. And so once we are fasting and being able to also consume or, burn up, replace, whatever you end up and you want to call it, it's definitely different than some of those TV shows that you see on, certain networks where surgeons are going in and I'm not saying that skin removal surgery, may not end up and be done, but what Dr. Fung was talking about is not needing to do it, that you are able to tighten that up and essentially use those amino acids in, like I said, the skin, the connective tissue, the capillaries, everything else as you are fasting. But the one thing that I would end up and say prior to leading up to that is exactly what you just talked about with the aspect of your fasting. And, a lot of people do end up and push themselves to just do more fasting, and it may not end up and be optimal for their body. And that's where kind of putting the training wheels, if you will, or so to speak, of doing the fat fasting and teaching your body to use that and reverse the leptin resistance and, fix the insulin resistance and be able to easily maneuver through fasting. And depending what level or what protocol you're doing based on a fat fast, the masterclass that I did had 4 different levels. So it wasn't just throwing you into a fast and, making yourself white knuckle your way through and everything else. It was being able to kind of put those training wheels on and teach the body this is what, it's okay, right? The body likes to hang on to things when it's in a state of stress and scared. And it will actually retaliate, if you will, against you to where it backfires. And that's kind of where the fat fasting comes in, and being able to, even on eating days, consuming, enough. Because also on those days, the body isn't going to just tap into the muscle, right? It's going to end up and tap into these cells that it can end up using. So, and that was the other part that was very insightful for me, because a lot of influencers out there will say, if you don't have enough protein, you will start to lose your muscle mass, right? And so for me, that was insightful to the point of where Dr. Fung had mentioned the aspect of him doing, basically routine 24-hour fasts, even not necessarily, the long fast, but even just 24-hour, which is where people will, such as some of the physicians out there that suggest you lose, a fourth of a pound of muscle a day. And if that's the case, even doing a 24-hour fast, then you would lose that, right? And Dr. Fung was talking about, if that was the case with all of his fasting, that the muscle he would have lost would have been like 50 pounds or something
Yeah.
In a year. So essentially, the amount of fasting that he does, his body composition would have changed. And in 3 years, it was essentially the same and his strength was the same. So, like I said, that's pretty insightful on how much protein we technically need. I think there's a difference in need and those that also want to, build per se.
Correct. So, should we change subjects?
Sure. So, speaking in regards of this and utilizing beyond just the nutrition aspect, you were looking at doing a little rebranding, renaming.
I was. And in fact, for those of you that are on with us live, and even if you're not, go ahead and comment and tell us what you think. So, when I started out almost 2 years ago, like I said, I started down the keto path. That's where Dr. Google, right, took me, and that's where I went with it, and so forth. Since then, obviously, as I said earlier, I've done variations, right? I've done carnivore, I've done, you know, different things to try to get my type 2 diabetes, my body to heal. And I had to learn to incorporate things beyond, right? It goes back to the beyond nutrition community, but it's the truth, right? These things that I'm wearing is an essential part of what I do nightly. Um, and the red light that I have on, that I don't know if you can kind of see the cast of the red there from my red light bulb, among other things that I have had to incorporate. The rebranding, I should have a drum roll, but I don't. I am thinking about changing where it says step by keto step to step by healing step, because it again, I do more than just keto, and so do other people. And I started to think that instead of pigeonholing myself into one way only, this is the only way, and it's not, by rebranding it. So in the chat, tell me, yes, step by healing step, or no, keep the keto in it, Sherry. Tell me what you guys want.
I like the healing aspect because you are on more of a journey than just the keto. I mean, keto is great, right? It is a definite step that works wonders for many people, and many people end up and love keto. It does amazing work for health and wellness and mental health, and so it definitely ends up and works. Um, but I also think that you're beyond just the keto. I think you are definitely on a path that is, healing, and you're healing your body one step at a time. And I think that's ultimately what your goal was with this.
Mhm.
Is the fact of it has taken steps, right? And we aren't waiting until, the end. We're taking everyone along step by step. And that's
Right.
exactly, kind of where you're going. And it's not just keto because you're doing, carnivore, you're doing fat fasting. Yes, it can end up and be, a umbrella term, if you will. And Judy's saying she likes it. So yeah, I do think it goes beyond just the keto.
Yeah. And it's been steps, right? Steps forward, steps back. I've stood on the steps and stared at the same step for weeks and months and months
Mhm.
and months. So a step to me doesn't necessarily mean it's all moving towards that end goal, but it's more life, right? So I stood at this step. I took a step back. I took 2 steps back. Oops, I'm up 3 steps, right? So,
Mm.
I mean, it's just been a whole journey. And I think that more conveys just everything that I started from the beginning up until where I am now. And, I believe in my heart of hearts that for the longest time, I thought I was the exception. I was the one that wasn't responding. I would look at other people and go, wow, she just lost 50 pounds in like 4 months. And I'm over here like, I gained 5 pounds, right? Like, I mean, it was like, I just, I also, in all of that, had to learn to stop looking at others. It became a very serious mindset. And I think that's also where people are lacking is life gets in the way, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's definitely a mindset as well. Even though I didn't think anything was happening, would have sworn up and down, would have cursed up and down. I think I did.
I was just say, I think you did a time or two.
Oh yeah, but ultimately, my cells were healing, and it was always like, what do you want out of this from the beginning? And it was always, I always said, I want to heal my cells, but by healing my cells, it has to start from the inside and it goes out. And I lost sight of that for a very long time because I didn't see the weight loss,
Yeah.
right? And I had to adjust that mindset again. It's a daily thing. So anyway, what do you think, Becky? Should I change it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, ultimately, like we kind of spoke earlier today, it goes and it aligns. We're all about optimizing and aligning, and that really does align with, also with the podcast that we have here on YouTube of healing the whole body. And you're healing the whole body one step at a time. And yes, we may at times, that's the one thing that is most frustrating, or I should say is frustrating for many people, is all they see is the highlight reel, right? They see
Right.
these people on Instagram or on social media and, oh, I lost this, I lost that, I lost this. But do they ultimately ever look at it? Which reminds me, I vowed to post my weight and I forgot to weigh this morning. But anyway, that just dawned on me when we were talking about the scale. Um, but ultimately everyone ends up, posting the highlight reel and they don't post the struggle that it took them to get there. They don't post that step in, step out, the journey, right? And that's, I mean, one thing we talked about when we did this podcast. It wasn't about waiting and, butterflies and rainbows all the time. It was, hey, I did this or I struggle with this. The journey in and of itself also of the struggle, right? We've had times in our life of where people end up and have told us, that it won't work, or that, here, have a bite of this, or, just whatever the enabling type behavior would end up and be. And or, crab in a bucket mentality of trying to pull us back down because we are working on ourselves and it is a journey. And especially those that, see us day in, day out, they may not end up and see that progress that we're making or recognize it right away. And so, like I said, I do feel like it is a step for you that is in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling, um, look, I've got a very long way to go. And you guys are welcome to come along and watch my struggles, my successes, my failures. Um, I'm really putting myself out there, which is huge because even 6 months ago, I was I don't even know what the word was, but I had bought tickets to go to KetoCon in Austin back in um, the end of April, and Becky knows the mental anguish.
You
It's
almost
it's
didn't
really,
go.
huh?
You almost didn't go.
I didn't want anybody to see what I look like because see, you guys all are seeing me from here up. You don't see what the rest of my body looks like. No, nothing had been happening for so long. And I was going with people that I have met online through different groups and things like that. They were going to see me in person with all my flaws, how heavy I really am. And I was horrified. It was literally all I could do. I mean, at the last minute, as my husband and I were driving to Austin, it was it was a fight then. And I have pictures from then and pictures that I took a week ago, and you can see how much my body has changed, right? But that was a mind thing. That was a
Mhm.
mess. It was trying to find the right clothes to hide in.
Yeah.
And speaking of clothes and hiding, tell them about.
Hey, don't make fun of my sweater. I like my sweater.
Oh my God.
Um, it's my wearable blanket because my 2X sweater literally wraps around me twice. Um, but and that is the difference, right? Body
Yeah.
dysmorphia is real, and we may not end up and see what is truly happening with our body. We may not end up and acknowledge because that's not what we are actually seeing in the mirror. And yeah, we tend to end up and hide behind our larger clothes. And they just kind of, Judy and Diane both are. Judy's appreciative of you, and Diane is relating. But yeah, I like my sweater. I it's cozy, right? It's comfortable. It's that sense of security, if you will.
Mhm.
When ultimately, I mean, I definitely wear, a smaller size. But at one point that sweater would fit. I went from well over 200 pounds or over 200 pounds, let me rephrase that. Um to what I am now, and just the difference, but the mind, and that's one of the reasons why we do have a mindset meeting in BNC too, is because it is an important role, right? We we go shopping, and I know you and I were talking, what was that, Friday maybe, where I had mentioned the fact of getting clothing shipped my house through an online thing, because I hate going out and trying clothes on. Clothing sizes, vary. You can have, two shirts and one be, a smaller or medium, and one be a large, and the large looks smaller than the medium, right?
Yeah.
And so brands of clothes are so much different. And I hate being that person, you know, um, even now at this point in the dressing room and saying, I need a different size or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I end up and I get it, shipped to my house. I can try it on in the comfort of my home. And what doesn't fit or I don't like, I can send back. You know, they send me the bag to send it back, right? They make it convenient. But yeah, it's just that whole mindset aspect of the journey and being comfortable um is not necessarily one of the things that comes straight out of the gate, right? We don't just instantly, oh, I'm on this journey and I feel comfortable and, I'm able. That's not what happens. So we do have to work. I lead a couple brain boost or mindset meetings. You have one in the BMC community on Fridays because it is a very important aspect that people don't talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. On Fridays at 11:30 Central Time for an hour. It's called Supercharged to the Mindset. My meeting is the only meeting in all of the BNC community that is not recorded. Mine is the safe place to come on and talk literally about what we just talked about or what it is that is on your mind that's weighing you down in a total safe environment where nobody's going to go back and rewatch it. Um, and I mean, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about bras, right? There was all of this. There was all ladies on that meeting. We have guys that come on too, but they weren't in there when we got on this whole conversation about trying bras on and the stigma with that. And it was an interesting conversation. And because of that conversation, I was able to go out into a store and try on about a bazillion bras. And I walked out with 3 of them, which was huge. But, you know, I had to be vulnerable having the sales gal. Uh, can I have a bigger size? Or yeah, that one was too big, or can you hook my bra? I mean,
Yeah.
whew, boy, was it humbling. And, but those are the things we talk about. We talk about families, right? The families that may or may not support you in your journey. We have some people on there that we are their only support. So, and I've lived it. I've lived that with my husband for a very long time. That he was the one. Bless his heart. I'm throwing him under the bus, but I only do it because other people out there get this, right? But he was the one where we would go out to eat, and he'd be just get something. Why are you being so picky? Like I don't understand this. Can't you just and I stuck to my guns, and a lot of times he was really upset with me that I wouldn't just eat whatever it was. Well, that's not going to kill you. Why don't it wasn't till literally he went with me to KetoCon in Austin at the end of April that his eyes were opened. And he's now been on a health journey. He kind of was on a health journey before, but he was also doing what you did, Becky, the dirty keto, right? Dirty. Oh well, this package says keto on it, so I can have it. And I'm going to do net carbs versus full carb, or the ratios, and manipulate all that stuff. And then he would turn around and have dessert at this restaurant that had nothing to do with keto or carnivore or even all right, let's just put it out there. It was full on sugar. He's really changed. And I posted recently this weekend a picture of him and I from 2018 to literally 2 weeks ago. And it's pretty dramatic at the changes we've both made and where we come. But there are those family members, and we understand that may not support your journey. They don't understand it. And you're making by healing, you're making a life altering choices that no longer fit in the narrative that you lived for so many years. At least that was in my case. I don't,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's a change, right? Just like us to change clothing or to get rid of our bigger clothes or, whatever, it's a change for them too. They are used to the type of person we used to be all along. And so when we change isn't always easy for those around us either. And sometimes people have amazing support, and other times they end up and they get pushback or they get those enablers, if you will, of here, just have a bite, or, why won't you end up and eat this or that or whatever. And that's a struggle. And that's where the community comes in, is feeling like you have others that know, you have others that can relate to you, you have community, right? You have,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, you're
We're
not in it alone.
right? We're a tribe. We're your
Yeah.
family. You can come on in there, and the whole community is a safe thing. And like I said, if you go back and re-watch our past podcasts with all the coaches, you'll see their journey and and their struggles and what they've been through and what they're still going through. I mean, none of us are perfect. If Becky and I waited till we were perfect to start hosting these uh, lives that we do, um, we wouldn't have never started.
Yeah. We are the perfect people for this, right? We end up and um discuss the fact of, and kind of going back to your husband, uh I'll never forget the message that he ended up and he sent me, and he's like, he's eating the waffles. um
Oh,
So for anyone that doesn't know, the carnivore waffles is on YouTube, for those of you on Rumble and Twitch. It's over on YouTube, and she ended up and she made them for herself, and her husband ended up eating them on her trip.
and I had to make them this past week. I made them again. And of course, he comes walking out with this plate going, boy, these are even better warmed up because we ate them cold. We were traveling. So we didn't have a way to warm them up. But it was just funny that it was like, what are you doing in my stuff?
Yeah. To the man that, like you said, 6 months ago, roughly,
Yeah.
8 months ago, wouldn't have touched the carnivore waffles. So it is a journey. They do end up and listen. They do end up and watch, what we're doing, whether it's our spouses, whether it's our kids. They are constantly watching and making better choices and decisions. And that's ultimately, for those times when they're not there to support, that's where we step in, right? We are there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and one of the past podcasts we did, we talked to Laura Painter.
Mhm.
She had quite the journey. Um, Again, we're just two normal, everyday, well, I don't know about normal, but we're two, two women that were imperfect. We come on here purposely without our makeup on, without our hair done. Um, and I know, right? And because we are authentic. This is daily life. This is
Mhm.
how most of us live. And we want you to feel again like you're a part of us through our conversations, through the people we talk to, and so forth. So hopefully, I mean, gosh, for those of you on Twitch and Rumble, thank you for joining us. I mean, we are so glad you're here.
Absolutely. And like you said, definitely come join us. So for those that are watching on Twitch and Rumble, I'm going to go ahead and throw the 50% discount out there.
I knew it.
I had dropped it for a while, but since we are broadcasting over to those platforms, if you want to join us at less than $20 a month, right? It makes it $18 a month. Use the code BNC and it'll save you 50% off. That is a locked in price. So once you end up and you sign up, that does not end up and go up. It is locked in. So no matter, 6 months, year, whatever, from now, you are locked in. It is that ultimate low price of $18 a month, and you get the 10 different meetings that we talked about. You get the option to have a one-on-one coach through our coaching that we offer. There is additional coaching available outside of that, obviously, but you get the one-on-one aspect of meetings, discounts on master classes that come out. So the community members that join the Fat Fast Masterclass got 60% off of that masterclass by being a BNC member. The Circadian Masterclass we have coming up, they will also get a deeper discount than the public gets just by being a BNC member. We have workshops, we have courses, we have a lot of stuff that is coming out within the BNC community. So definitely.
Becky, we had a question. Did you see the question?
No, ma'am. Where can I get the carnivore waffle recipe? So it is on our YouTube. If you scroll back on our videos, it is on the YouTube, but I will also grab you a link. It is super simple to make. You can make the waffles into waffles. You can make them into pancakes. You can make, I know we have Coach Sly that makes hers into the pancakes. She'll mix the batter up and make them into pancakes. So you can put them also in muffins, and the batter is very versatile, but here is the link to it. I said, mix the batter up. You can put it in silicone muffin cups. You can put it in, I've actually taken the batter. Okay. So it now tells me an error occurred. Maybe that's just on the other platform, but anyway, you can take like little ramekins, mix the batter up, and even put it in an air fryer. You can stick, part of it in the fridge. If you make, like double the batter, you can stick part of it in the fridge and make it. So it is also an easy way to meal prep because you can mix the batter and use it later.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I traveled. We live in Texas, and we went for 2 weeks in Florida. We drove. We have a travel trailer, and I made several things ahead of time, and the carnivore waffle was one of them that I made. And then while I was there, we have a mini Blackstone, and I was making the pancakes, and I even threw bacon in mine, right? So
Yeah.
it is versatile, and it traveled good.
Well, as to say, and you were also fat fasting while you were traveling. So even the carnivore waffle, carnivore pancake, whatever you end up and make out of the batter, it also fits into the carnivore fat fasting, or I can't say carnivore, but the fat fasting guidelines. So
yeah. And then Becky, I'm gonna throw this out there because this will pin Becky down, everyone, just so you know, okay. But I came up with the bright idea of doing kind of just a mini cookbook, not even that fancy, more like a gathering of recipes within our community that I think so we're going to start working on that. So that'll be something coming that might be a good reason for you to join. And Becky, I think you've got another master class coming up.
I do. I have the Circadian Masterclass coming up in November, November 11th to be exact. It is a weekend. It will go over all things, especially getting us ready for the cooler months coming up, how to still optimize our circadian routine, even through the infradian system or the infradian seasons. So as the seasons end up and change, and that can end up and be found also if you go to the bmccommunity.com. It is on that website. So, or on that link, I should say, the BMC Community. It will have a section right as the page loads that will say, take the first step towards transformation, including the Circadian Masterclass in November for more information. And then there is a little button that you can click and it will direct you over to the masterclass. Otherwise, as you scroll down on that bmccommunity.com link, you will see our vision, our mission, you'll see our meetings, you'll see our team of amazing coaches. But yes, that Circadian Masterclass, like I said, it will be roughly a 2-hour masterclass. And then that will also get you follow-up Q&A, follow-up on how to, optimize your circadian rhythm. So it's exciting. It has amazing reviews. I also got a review or feedback from Benazati. So for those of you that don't know Benazati, he is a 4-time best-selling author of the Keto Flex, which I have, you can't see it. I have behind me. Whoop, there we go. And he gave a amazing credible review as far as the circadian teaching that I do. I also am working with Quantum Biology Collective as part of their practitioner directory. So it'll be an amazing class. It'll be very informative, sciencey, but not overwhelming, able to be applied to the everyday person.
Yeah. And you too can wear glasses like us.
Yes, it is that time of year where you can see the window behind me is dark. Summertime is a little bit different, but once the sun goes down, the glasses go on. I even have my red ones. Oop, my red ones are back here. As the night progresses and as I get closer to bedtime, then I will transition out of the orange ones after sunset into the red ones. But
well, Becky, I think we've kept them long enough.
Absolutely. I appreciate everyone. Again, welcome Rumble, welcome Twitch to the amazing weekly. We go live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So definitely come back and join us.
Make sure that you subscribe because there are some changes that are coming down where you will not see us unless you know we are broadcasting live by subscribing. So definitely, we if you want to hear more, you want to hear our guests and so forth, definitely subscribe because searching for people like us is going to get less and less.
Yep. And we have some amazing interviews coming up that you won't want to miss.
Absolutely. Well, Becky, it was fun as always.
Absolutely, my dear. And we will see you in the BNC meeting. We have the nutrition, macro fasting, fat fasting meeting tonight. So I will see you there. And everyone else, I will see you next week.
next week. Sounds good.